I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I'm just coming to you now talking about a spiritual practice that I've tried last week that you can try this week. So I'm a go, go, go person. I think I've been described by my siblings as a high strung person, but I am always multitasking. I'm always thinking about what's next. It's really hard for me to stay in the present because I have a constant to-do list that's running on and on in my head. And I don't know if you're like me, but when people tell me to take a deep breath or slow down, I'm like, yeah, yeah, I have things to do. But this week, I tried it. I tried getting lost in the moment, or as some people call it, getting lost in the present. This is when you're so aware of what you're doing or the conversations that you're having that you completely lose track of time. You're not checking your watch, you're not running through your to do list in your head. You're just right there, fully engaged in that moment. You're paying attention to your senses. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? What are you smelling? It makes you become more open to God speaking to you in those moments. And if you're not taking time to sit in the present sometimes, you can miss something maybe God's trying to show you, and you can end up becoming kind of frazzled, like I get sometimes. So I chose this week to be present while I made my dinner. I paid attention to the smells of each spice as I sprinkled it into my dish. I paid attention to my stomach. My stomach was rumbling in anticipation of my meal. I could hear the sounds of my children in the background playing with each other. I was even aware of the sound of my spoon as it scraped up against the pot. And as I began to kind of just get lost in the moment, got lost in my cooking, I just felt so much peace. I stopped rushing around trying to hurry up and get things done and get dinner made. Instead, this just put me at a different rhythm than I'm used to. And being lost in that moment helped me reconnect with myself, with my body, and with God. You see, it felt good to get lost in that moment because I felt like God was right there with me, getting lost in the moment. The author, Barbara Brown Taylor, who is the author of this book that I told you guys about a couple weeks ago, An Altar in the World, she talks about getting lost in the present as well. And the way that she does it, that she feels like it's best for her, is when she goes on a walk. So she lives somewhere out in wilderness somewhere in the country, and so she allows herself to wander around. She doesn't focus on she's trying to get her 10,000 steps in, but she just sometimes lets herself just go on a walk somewhere not on the usual path that she normally takes, and she just begins to listen and be aware of God's creation all around her. She pays attention to her breathing, to the birds chirping, to seeing the animals scurry around her. And when she has these moments, she begins to finally slow her brain down, and she leaves room for God to speak. She says that in these moments, she has heard God speak to her, and sometimes she hasn't heard him speak to her. Sometimes she's felt his physical presence with her as she's walking along the road. And sometimes that hasn't happened, and that's okay. The more that she's let herself go, the more aware she just becomes of God being all around her, and that he's leading her in those moments, and that he's right there beside her in those moments, and it just brings her such peace. So if you're up for it and you find yourself this week rushing around, doing a million things at a time, just take a moment to get lost in the moment. Try to be present with whatever it is that you're doing, being present in that Zoom meeting that you have to go to, or being present when you're making dinner like I tried, or do what Barbara does and go on a walk. I know it's cold outside, but go on a brisk walk maybe, and just try to pay attention to your surroundings. Allow yourself to just be there, to be present in the moment. All right. Have a good week, guys.